Just because birds were created to fly doesn't mean they're born knowing it. It isn't until they realize their purpose that they soar. I pray you discover your wings. I was doing some interviews and they told me, I won't spend this much time, talking about your father because I know you're your own person and, we want to honor that. And I was like, I really appreciate that. I spent a really long time running from my last name because I didn't feel like I deserved it. Because there's so much honor that comes with it, and I have a lot of shame that I'm dealing with. But actually, I'm okay with that. Because my last name is who I am. And I don't need you to separate me from me any more than I already have. We are on the last leg of the Lost and Found tour, and we are in Miami. To be able to come to a city like Miami and still be focused when there are so many different distractions and fun distractions at that, but to know that I am so zoned in on what God has called me to do and the lives that He's allowing my life to help change, that it makes it easier to drive past the beach and not feel complete sadness, just a little.
Hot 105, this is James T. And whenever there's guests in our city, particularly people that we want to hear from, we invite them into the studio so that we can share it with you. When we show love in a big way. Sarah Jakes, welcome to Hot 105.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
It's a wonderful thing when God can touch your life in such a way where you can be many things to many people but still be who He anointed you to be. Amen. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Because you can be in passion and out of purpose and you go around in circles.
Absolutely.
40 years sometimes.
Yeah.
So tell us about this great book.
Well, that's kind of the theme of Lost and Found, is this idea of being outside of God's will but still having this passion. And it wasn't until I really embraced my past that I recognized that I didn't have to be with someone out of insecurity or out of low self-esteem, that I could really love myself through the scars.
Lost and Found, Sarah Jakes, daughter of T.D. Jakes, finding hope in the detours of life and learning that there are lessons everywhere you turn.
Everywhere. I talked about working at a strip club, but there was even a lesson in that when I was waitressing at the strip club. In the most unexpected places, I really found myself wondering about this God that my parents talked about my entire life. And there was a lot of comfort there because no one cared who I was, but ultimately I found myself back on my knees asking God for help.
And how can they get your book?
Anywhere books are sold, Barnes & Nobles, Target, Walmart, and I believe I'll have a few extra copies with me tomorrow.
And of course, the story tells of your life, but more than that, it tells of how God
absolutely
helped you and how He can help others.
Amen.
And hopefully they'll be encouraged and inspired. It was awesome speaking with Sarah because she, as my grandmother Bessie had said, was willing to share her shame. We all have a shame, but when the shame becomes a testimony, there are other people that can see us and hear us as being genuine and authentic. And then they too can hear a word from God.
I'm in the studio with James T, and I come in and, I came from one radio interview to a television interview and into that interview. And at a certain point, it kind of becomes routine and you get used to people asking the same questions, not really knowing your story, what's it like being T.D. Jakes' daughter, and so on and so forth. And so I come in and I'm prepared for that same type of interview. And what made the interview so powerful is that you can tell that he's really gone on his own personal spiritual journey. I do believe that even through his radio show that he is doing ministry. Ultimately, because of the heart of who is hosting the show, they don't even realize that they're still being led back to God. And so I was so encouraged by my interview with him.
If you don't have the book, shame on you. This book has been a blessing to my life, not just for a PK, but for any young person out there, you will enjoy reading this book.
I think that it really rests in recognizing that one person has one lane and you have another lane. I think that comparison is really the thief of joy, and that we look at someone else's life, and I'm guilty of it, and I write about it in Lost and Found. Because I made this mistake, it will keep me from becoming like this person. And so I believe that for many, many years, and as long as that is the belief that you have in your head, you'll never be able to fully embrace who you are. And the moment that I was able to do that, I learned the beauty in being Sarah Jake's not perfect, a little bit ratchet, a little bit classy.
I feel like we all have a story. We all have a story that says there might be a shame in it, but by God's grace, we can go through this, you know, and we all go through a piece of a situation. So for you, making the world know that, yeah, I'm a pastor's child, but I'm also a human being and I have hiccups. For us saying that we are PKs, we have hiccups, you know, and to let the world know and they can grow from that.
I think there's this myth that if you were, you know, if I were raised in Bishop Jake's household, this wouldn't have happened to me. If I would have had this, that wouldn't happen to me. But the reality is that life doesn't really spare its rod on anyone, and that you could have my father, or not had a father at all, and you still would have encountered some type of struggle and obstacle. And so my prayer is that people read the book and identify with the shame, the guilt, the low self-esteem, the insecurities, and the symptoms those insecurities created. But overall, walk away with this concept that grace has been on our shoulders our entire life, and it's up to us to really walk in it.
Without further ado, from one PK to another, welcome, Miss Sarah Jake.
I did an interview with someone here in Miami, and she says, well, can I call you one of those bad preacher's kids? And I go, well, see, and I'm saved now because it was I wouldn't even let that clown buy me like that. But I told her, yeah, sure, you could call me whatever you like. But the reality is that if you're a doctor's child and you have a cold, nobody wants to take the doctor's degree. And if you're a dentist child and you have a cavity, nobody tells them he can't practice anymore. And just because I'm a preacher's kid and I've experienced life doesn't mean anything.
I am so proud of my sister Sarah. She is phenomenal. I just encourage her, and I'm so thankful and blessed that God has placed her on this path, because she is really, really motivational. She inspires so many of us, and we always have her back.
But if you dare to tell the ugly truth about yourself, the parts that still make you cringe a little and that make your voice tremble some, that there is so much freedom on the other side of it that it will all be worth it in the end.
I'm writing a book about my life now, and it's called 6-Inch Scar, and I can relate to everything that you just said. And I just want you to know God is using you in such a powerful way. You know,
along this journey of being on the Lost and Found tour, I've met so many people, whether they've been watching the webisodes and leaving comments, or following the blog and coming to meet me on tour, who have really let me know that my life matters to them. They've given my pain so much purpose. And knowing that everything that I went through was for this moment and for hearts and lives like their own, it means more to me than I could ever imagine. I will say this may be the last webisode, but this is not the last you've seen of this face. Where I bet you might get sick of me, but there's nothing you can do about it, because you're stuck with me forever and ever. Today, I do stand before you, lost and found, and probably lost and found a few more times to come. But I'm okay with the process. Dear God, I thought the only way you could use me was if I did everything right. Thank you for showing me that my brokenness gave you more to use, not less. I spent so long trying to reject what you were trying to bless. I welcome every battle and invite every struggle. I know when it's over, you'll use every scar I learned to love. Signed, Learning What Matters.
Feel my stronger.